Back in 2021, when I first bought the X100v, I shot a music festival called Slam Dunk in the UK, where I went round and I took portraits of people at the festival, artists that were playing the festival, and some of the staff. I did the same thing at the festival on the Sony a7iv in 2022, and the difference in shooting the two festivals, but with a different camera each time, just made so much difference, it totally blew my mind. So today I'm going to tell you 6 reasons why I would choose the X100v over something like the Sony a7iv for portraits. So first up, I'm going to go in with the most important one, and it is people's reactions to the camera. Now, I didn't realise this at first. I just thought everyone in 2021 was well up for getting the photo taken, but when I went back a year later with the Sony, people were saying no. Like, a lot of people were just like, oh, no, I'm good, thanks. And I was like, why is this? Like, what is the difference between this year and last year? Like, why is everyone suddenly really shy? And the only thing that I could think of was that I'm using a different camera. Now, I've spoke to a couple of people that I've photographed since, and they told me that when I'm taking photos of them on the Fuji camera, they just feel so much more at ease. They say that it's because of the fact that it looks like a film camera. I don't know what it does in people's minds, but something about shooting with a camera that looks like an old film camera just puts people at ease. I think like the whole stigma of, you know, creepy photographer with a big massive DSLR and a big massive lens, people don't want that, and it makes people feel uncomfortable. It maybe feels quite corporate and professional, whereas I think shooting with something like the X100 is definitely like more of a casual experience for the person that you're taking a photo of. They don't really feel intimidated by it. I totally underestimated how important this was until I looked back at the amount of photos that I got the first year and the amount of photos that I got the second year. And the first year with the Fuji, people seemed to look happier, people seemed to look more at ease. Overall, the photos technically weren't as good, but people's reactions to the camera was much better, and overall, the photos just look a lot more personal and relaxed. Obviously, that alone doesn't make an amazing portrait camera, but I do think in this instance, it is by far the most important point. So another thing that's obviously really important is autofocus. Now, this isn't the most essential thing when you're doing a portrait shoot, but the X100 handles it fine. The autofocus isn't amazing, but it does the job. It's okay. You don't really have like a super shallow depth of field to play with, so you pretty much nail focus every time anyway, which leads well onto the third point, which is depth of field. Traditionally in portraits, a lot of portraits have like a really shallow depth of field. With the Fujifilm being a crop sensor camera, you don't really get that mad out of focus background, but it's good enough. And especially for the kind of situation that I was shooting in, where it was more environmental portraits, I really wanted to tell a story with them. I wanted the background in, I wanted people to see that it was at a festival. Having a slightly larger depth of field really wasn't an issue. In fact, it worked to my favour. This also leads well onto the fourth point, which is a controversial one, the 35mm equivalent lens. Now, traditionally, this isn't a great lens for portraits. Obviously, if you're shooting with something like a 50mm, an 80mm, 135mm, like you're gonna get like a nicer, more natural compression of the face. However, I think these days, everyone's kind of used to seeing themselves on like a selfie camera on an iPhone. They are obviously taken with quite a wide field of view, like a 28mm maybe. So I actually think that a 35mm field of view feels quite natural when people are looking back at the photos. It's how they're used to seeing themselves. I do think that if I see images like these days that have been taken with like a 200mm lens, I don't really feel like people's faces look right. Maybe that's just me, but again, in this situation, 35mm worked absolutely great because I wanted more of that background in. But this is definitely something to consider if you're wanting to take super close-up photos of someone. Maybe this isn't the camera for you to take portraits on. The last 2 things are where this Fujifilm camera really shines. So the first one is colours. Obviously, Fujifilm colours are legendary. Anyone that's used a Fujifilm camera will tell you that the colours are beautiful, and to be honest, I edited the raw files for this project because I was shooting over 2 days, the white balance changed throughout the day. I didn't really want to think about it that much on the day, but the Fujifilm colours made an absolutely great, easy starting point. I barely had to do any colour work on these raw files at all. It was mainly just adjusting the contrast, adjusting the exposure, so it made the editing process a total breeze. And the last thing that the Fuji is incredible for is portability. So this camera is tiny. You can just kind of put it over your shoulder and you don't really need to think about it. You can't really feel it. It's portable enough that you could put it in your pocket, you can put it in a backpack. It really is the perfect everyday carry camera, which ultimately, if you see someone on the street and you want to take a portrait of them, the best camera that you could have at the time is the one that you have on you. And the Fujifilm makes that so easy. I keep hitting my camera. So overall, is the X100V the perfect portrait camera? Well, for me, for this project, it really was. It was everything that I could have asked for, and even after going back and shooting with the Sony, next time I go back, I'm going to shoot with the Fuji again, because I think that it has some serious strengths behind it that just make it a really, really great choice. And overall, I'm way happier with the files out of this camera than over my better Sony camera. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video at all, please like and subscribe. It really, really helps the channel, and I will see you in the next one.